Hey guys, what's going on? The little tractor thing. The video seems to be doing really well. This is the second time one of these tractor videos have done way better than I expected. So I think we're going to move forward with it, and we're going to spruce it up. I'm thinking about a restoration, but when I say a restoration, I mean just, you know, just taking it apart and cleaning it up and repainting it, make it look nice. I'm not doing a mechanical rebuild on it. I'm not getting that deep into it. I just wanted to make it look cool, make it look nice. So first thing we got to do is make this thing where I can roll it around. It took me and Wendy way more time than I expected it to just to get it up into the storage building here. And if you'll look, we've got a pretty nice ramp set up there. So if it rolled, it would have been really easy to just roll it right up in here. But with the way the wheels and tires are, this tire here will hold air for maybe about a day. This one will hold air for a while. This one's got a hole in it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, it doesn't hold air. I was putting air in this one the other day and the tube blew up. So luckily, a friend of mine at work gave me a little small boat trailer a few weeks ago. And I think that it's got the perfect wheels and tires on it that'll fit on the front of this tractor, because I'm not going to use them for what I've got planned for that trailer. So kind of works out pretty well. But I'm still looking for some tires for the back of this thing. I mean, I would love to find some of these old school like mud grip tires, but all I can really find from just a quick search is just, you know, either brand new or I'm not finding any. And brand new, they're insane. They're like over $200 a piece, and I'm just I'm not going to spend that kind of money on this project. But anyway, we'll find something. A friend of mine, he's looking around through his stash, and he might have some old trailer tires or something like that. And if he does, then we might be able to put them on these wheels here. But I'm starting to get kind of concerned because this wheel, as you can see right here, it's got a good amount of rust right here where the valve stem comes through. This tire's got a tube in it, and I would really like to get away from running tubes in tires, but I mean, if that's what I got to do, that's what I got to do. But anyway, let's get to getting these wheels and tires off of here, and at least see if we can get those front ones on. And maybe I can take these tires off the back wheels and see what I've got, see if the wheels are actually usable. And if not, then I'll know that I'll need to find me a new set of wheels for the back as well. But man, I'd really like to use these wheels. I like the design of them. Got the little vented slots in them. I think they look kind of cool. Anyway, let's get this stuff off here. I saved the worst one for last. This one is going to be quite a challenge. As you can see, the wheel is pretty much just destroyed. It's going to make getting to the actual lug bolts that much of a challenge. Let's see. Well, are those left hands? Yes, those are left hands. Strangely enough, both of them on the back were left hands. So we've got 3 left hand threads and 1 set of right hand threads. Wild. Use what you got on the farm. Come on. Let's see here. Yeah. Well, that's 3 of them. Probably gonna need a tetanus shot after handling this thing. Hey, look at there. All right. Well, let's see if we can't hammer this one off like we had to do the other one. There we go. Whew. Well, good. All the hubs, well, the front ones anyway, the front hubs seem like they roll pretty freely. And y'all check that out. These were 4-lug wheels and somebody re-drilled them to a 5-lug. Use what you got, huh? All right, guys. Here's the trailer I was telling you about that I got from a buddy of mine, and it looks kind of odd to see a trailer on a trailer, but this little thing's, it's not roadworthy right now. What I'm planning on doing on this one is I'm gonna make a T-trailer for the rail buggy out of it. And for that, we're not gonna need this axle or these wheels. So I'm gonna take those off and see if they'll fit on the tractor. We have a problem. The wheel studs are spinning in the hub, so let me see if I can't take care of that. All right, let's see if we can't grab a hold of that. Keep it from spinning. Nope, that didn't work, did it? Let's try it this way. Nope. That's going to be stubborn, isn't it? Well, all right then. All right, let's see if this one will come off any easier. One rope. Oh. We got another. Come on. There we go. All right, so that idea is a bust for today. I'm going to have to weld those studs to the hub because no matter what I try with vice grips, I just can't get it to grab. Always just they wind up popping off. So I'm just going to have to weld those studs into those hubs, and it don't matter because I'm throwing that whole axle away anyway. I just want the wheels off of it. So I don't have a welder here. I've got one at the shop, so I'll have to take this thing over to the shop, and once I do that, I'll pick it up from there, and hopefully these wheels will fit those hubs. But let's go measure those hubs first. So I never have measured them. I just assumed they were a 5 on 4.5. But let's just go look and see. All right, let's measure and see what we've got. Those are left-hand threads. Okay. Yes, they do appear to be 5 on 4.5. Good. All right, guys, I got the tires off of the back wheels, and it looks like I'm going to be able to reuse them. One of them's a little more rough than the other. It's got quite a bit of scaling. I'll show you that here in just a second. But kind of in a dilemma right now, because I did wind up finding some affordable tires that I could buy that would be period correct for this thing. So, and I am going to have to run a tube, because I mean, there's no way these wheels are going to hold air as scaly as they are inside. Plus, I don't know if these things are meant to be run tubeless or not. I don't know. But there's no safety bead, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Anyway, I would really like to get a better sandblaster than what I've got, because what I've got is one of those cabinet style things from Harbor Freight, and if anybody's ever used one of those things, they know they're not really that great. If I were to buy one of the pressurized sandblasters, I could actually run it into that cabinet and have the best of both worlds, have something that actually works and have everything contained where I can recycle all the media. But anyway, I'd really like to blast these, because right now I've been using a wire wheel, and boy howdy, is making a mess. The whole shop is covered with dust, and I'm still not done, but I think a blaster would make it a whole lot nicer. But if I go buy even the cheaper $89 blaster, which I think will be fine, then that puts a kink in my budget to buy tires. So do I wait and buy tires, but go ahead and get the media blaster so I can get these wheels fixed up, and maybe I could find me a set of trailer tires or something to stick on it for the time being? Anyway, yeah, who knows? I'm gonna have to make a decision, and I got to go to Harbor Freight tomorrow anyway, so I guess I'll figure that out when I get there. You can see there's quite a bit of scaling on these wheels right here. I need to knock some more of it off. I need to knock all that off that I can. I'm definitely going to have to run tubes in it, but I am going to paint the wheels. I'm going to paint them inside and out this time. That way, if water does get inside of there, hopefully it'll protect the rim a little bit. But to be honest with you, I don't really see this thing sitting outside much more, if any, for its whole life. I'll keep it covered up with something. Either it'll be under a lean-to, or it'll be inside the shop here, or something, or it'll be under a cover or something. But so I probably really don't have to worry about that stuff. But anyway, I'm at the shop, as you can see, and I got the wheels off of that trailer earlier. So let's bounce on over to the storage building, and we'll see if those wheels fit. All right, guys, we're back at the storage building. The wheels look like they're going to work. They're not perfect, but I mean, you know, hey, they'll work. They'll make it roll. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with the back tires. I guess I'm kind of at a point now to where I have to make a decision, and that's concerning the rear tires. I guess my decision comes down to keeping with the original spirit of the build and just using what I might have, you know, on hand. I may have a couple of tires that I could just throw on this thing. They're going to look a lot more modern, but you know, they'll be cheap, which I guess was the whole premise behind building this tractor in the first place. It was just a cheap way to do it. Or do I keep it period correct and buy those 700-15s in the old mud grip design? They're about $120 a piece. Plus I'd have to buy tubes, so you're probably talking another 20-30 bucks a piece for tubes. So let's just say they're $150 a piece, so that'd be $300 just for back tires. When I could probably just put something on there that I may have laying around. And now that I say it out loud, it sounds like it makes a lot more sense to just use what I've got on hand, even though it would look more modern. But keeping it with the original spirit of the build is probably the way I'm going to go. But speaking of the original spirit of the build, let's go over this thing and see what all it was made from. We'll start in the back here, and I'm not even going to pretend to know what they made this rake or harrow or whatever this thing is actually called. I don't know what they made it out of. Anyway, this seat actually looks like it come off of a tractor of some type. It doesn't have any spring on it though, so I'm going to have to address that. When I sat on this thing, you'll see it in the thumbnail, when I sat on this thing, it's extremely cramped, so if I were to be able to bring this thing up and back a little bit with some type of spring mechanism, I think that would be awesome. Alright, and the rear end. I originally said that this looked like a Dana type rear end, and that's what it is. It's a Dana Spicer 23, and I'm pretty sure this isn't going to pick up on camera, but you can see here where the axle was cut and re-welded, and I'm pretty sure it's the same on the other side over here in this area where it was cut and narrowed, which brings me to the hubs. Now, the early Jeeps used a two-piece axle shaft, which means that the flange bolts to the axle shaft, and it's got a tapered spline. They were known for stripping out. A lot of people would just wind up welding them on. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What was confusing me was the 4-lug pattern. Now, if anybody knows anything about old Jeeps, we know that they all came with a 5 on 5.5 bolt pattern. And if you would have told me that there was an old Jeep, like the tub on frame design like the originals, if you would have told me that there was a Jeep with a 4-lug pattern, I would have probably argued with you until the cows come home. But I did some digging online, and I found one forum, and a guy posted some pictures of it. Actually, he posted several pictures of several different Jeeps that actually had 4-lug wheels on it. I never knew that. As much as I know about Jeeps, I never knew they were available with a 4-lug wheel pattern. So that's what this looks like it came from, an early Jeep DJ, which would be like a delivery Jeep like they use for the mail service and things like that. Pretty sure they would have been 2-wheel drives, which led me to the front suspension on this thing. I say suspension, it really doesn't have any suspension at all. It's just an A-arm or a swing arm or whatever you want to call it, swing axle. Anyway, it has kingpin style knuckles on it, and it's got some, I mean, this has got a car type steering arm on it, but it doesn't make sense to me why this thing would be 5-lug if they used the same stuff off of that Jeep for this. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. So this part right here, this is the biggest mystery of all for me, of where these steering knuckles came from. Where this, I mean, it does look like this thing was, you know, cobbled together, you know, from something. So the front axle is a complete mystery to me. The steering column, it's one of those old, what we used to call spearmatics, where the steering column is actually integral with the steering box. So no telling what that came off of. The steering wheel is in pretty bad shape, and it looks like this steering wheel was just adapted to this thing, because it's kind of got a split nut there and kind of held on with a hose clamp. Thank God this thing's not driving down the road. And the output shaft of the motor is hooked to what looks like a centrifugal clutch, but it doesn't spin as far as, you know, the outer shell and the inner hub. They don't spin independently of one another, so I don't know if that's by design that they've made it that way, or if it's just gotten rusted solid over time. But it's got 2 V-belts hooked to that, and that goes down to a larger pulley on the transmission input. The way they've got the clutch set up on this thing is pretty ingenious. You've got like a regular clutch pedal here. It looks homemade, as just about everything else does on this thing. There's no kind of floorboard here, but so I may wind up putting something there that I can rest my foot on. But anyway, when you push this clutch pedal in, it operates a bell crank right here, and it pushes up on this rod. This rod has a roller wheel on it, and that roller wheel rides on the tops of the belts. So when you release the clutch, there's a spring over here, and I'll show you that in just a second, that pulls this down and provides tension for the belts so the motor can drive the input pulley of the transmission. So it's like this, release the pressure, and then let off the clutch, and that puts the pressure back on it. And here is the spring that is, well, that was hooked to this tension rod. So I'm going to have to replace that with something. It's kind of an unusual spring. It doesn't have a hook on the bottom. It's just tapered, and it's just captured by a bolt there. I'll have to figure something out there, but that's going to have to be a pretty stout spring there. And here is the roller wheel that I was talking about just a second ago. So you can see it'll provide tension for the belts to provide forward momentum, hopefully. Okay, brakes. It's just as simple as the clutch side. You've got a homemade pedal here. It's hooked to this rod. This rod is hooked to this lever that's hooked to this arm. This arm pivots. And if you'll look here, you'll see the cable goes through. On the bottom, you've got a bolt. The bolt pinches the cable inside. So, and what the cable is hooked to is the rear end, so that would have originally been what I believe would be the parking brake. So you're using the pedal to operate the parking brakes, which I guess is plenty good enough for this little thing. And to operate the attachment on the back, it has just a manual locking lever and a handle. You just push down a little bit to release the tension. You pull up on the locking mechanism, you let loose of it, and it drops down. And when you're done, it's just a reverse. So just push this down and lock it into position. Very simple. And last but not least, we have the transmission. I ran the numbers on it, and the one transmission that I found that looked pretty much identical to this thing, and going from the numbers on the sides of the case, this is a 3-speed manual from a 1938 DeSoto. So yeah, that thing's really old. Alright guys, so that's a little tour around the homemade mini tractor. You guys put it down in the comments what you think I should do about the rear tires. Like I said before, do I keep with the original spirit of the build and just use what I've got laying around, even though it'll look more modern? Or do I do something that's more period correct? Next time we see this thing, hopefully I'll have listened to your comments, and hopefully I will have made a choice on what to do with the tires, and we can actually roll this thing around and maybe think about getting this clutch going and maybe get this thing putting around the yard a little bit. And thanks to all of the new subscribers we got from the last video on this little thing. Obviously, I guess people think that it's kind of neat. And I mean, I do too. I've always thought it was kind of cool, kind of in a quirky way. Just kind of my thing. So, hey man, I really appreciate each and every one of you. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.